Right, evening. Welcome back to the penultimate Usyk versus Fury 2 show. 2 days to go, boys, in less than 48 hours. Well, it's not quite less than 48 hours, about 50 hours from now. We'll find out who is going to be victorious and unified heavyweight champion. Usyk defending against Fury. We've seen the press conference. I'm assuming you've both seen it. I know Liam has. Jay, I'm assuming you've seen the presser as well, have you?
Yeah, I've seen highlights. I didn't sit and watch it all.
That's all right. You've seen the general gist of it.
The face-off, and then I've just listened to the audio from the face-off as well.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's get into the only thing that really matters. The actual presser itself. There's nothing to really take from that, was there? But we did get a 10 or 11 minute face-off between Fury and Usyk, and it has to be said for 9.5, 10 minutes of it, there wasn't a word said. But then Tyson Fury has gone back to the words and insults that he was using in the first Usyk fight. So for me, and I'll get both of your thoughts on what you take from that heading into the weigh-in tomorrow and fight night. But for me, it's a moral victory again for Usyk. You know, Fury's been dialed in, and I've picked Fury. I'm not going to change my pick just because of what's happened tonight, but. Fury's been dialed in all camp. Didn't say anything yesterday. Didn't say anything at the first press conference in London. I know we're in fight week now. There's a bit more edge to it, but I feel like it would have been a more comfortable thing if after the 10-minute face-off he just walked off and he means business. But getting drawn back into that kind of insult trading with and Usyk's just unflappable. It doesn't matter what Fury can say anything he wants to Usyk.
I don't think Tyson's looking for a reaction. I think he's just gone. He's switched on now, and that's him when he's switched on. You're this, you're a Dawson, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I believe he needs to get into that mind frame to fight. So I believe he's kept his shit together into camp. He's gone into this war mode. He's grown his beard, and he's not done any social media. He's not spoken with his family, and then he's dialed in today. Because if you look at the presser, he just sat there quiet. And then as soon as they've come face to face, he's got a feel for him and he's just gone off. And that for me personally shows me that he's actually dialed in. Usyk's never going to give him a reaction. He's not that kind of guy. He never does that. I think even if he pushed him, he still won't get a reaction. He'd probably laugh at him. He's not that kind of guy. Usyk's not throwing a shot until the first bell goes, whereas Tyson's a little bit more volatile. And I am half glad that I've seen that from him, because I'm now seeing a little bit of the old Fury. I don't want him to be completely different on Saturday, because I believe if he's completely different, then he gets railroaded and beaten easier than last time. He needs to be a little bit different in his style and his approach. But what got him to this point is being Tyson Fury, the noise, the shouting. And so I think that's, for me, I'm not reading too much into it.
Yeah. So you think it potentially can be a good thing for Fury then, Jay? So that's interesting to me, and you've got quite contrasting views on it, which is interesting. Liam, how do you see the face-off and the implications of it?
It's interesting, isn't it? Because we said on Tuesday and we said again last night that, okay, the one-word answers from Tyson are really bloody annoying when he's just giving the same answers in every single interview. Yeah. But I quite like seeing that side of him. Didn't like the constant reminder of Mr. T we've been getting with the pain all week, but I quite liked seeing a razor focus locked in. And it's interesting.
I did too.
He went through the press conference with that same mindset. So I'll be honest, I kind of kept it on in the background, but stopped paying attention because I was like, well, Usyk doesn't say much anyway. Tyson's just doing what he's doing this week. That's fine. Yeah, 9.5 minutes of that face-off. It was just two men staring at each other. A bit weird that no one got in the middle earlier. It was just what it was. And then Tyson went back to Rabbit, Dotter, X, Y, Z, and then he gets off the stage.
Big up Pablo, thanks for tuning in, mate. Sorry, Liam. Carry on.
And he starts dancing around with some of Turkey's aides, doesn't he? Which just shows he's gone from angry.
Yeah, exactly. I noticed that too, Liam, and thought that. So straight after the presser, he's ran into the room and he starts dancing around again. So he's not, war mode's gone.
Yeah, it's interesting. Look, if he needs to do it to get up for the fight, then he needs to do it to get up for the fight. But there's a difference between doing what he done the first time round, where he was kind of on a level all the way through, and come fight week he exploded, whereas this time he's simmered underneath the whole way through. And now today we've seen a massive change again. If he's been in the middle the whole time, I kind of go, okay, yeah, this is just Tyson doing what he does. But he's gone from one extreme to the other today, hasn't he? The weigh-in tomorrow now, just a little bit more interesting for me. Yes, what he weighs in, I mean, he doesn't look like he's going to be as heavy as people think he's going to be. When from the brief look at him we got today, he looks similar shape to the first fight, going back and looking at a photo from that fight. But yeah, like I said to you, mate,
stone, I reckon.
Yeah, I reckon the same, mate. Usyk is unflappable. You can't shake him. I'd put him in negotiations with the UN. I don't think you'd, get a rise out of him in that position. He's just is what he is. He's a Bond. He looks like a Bond villain, but he's got the temperament of a saint until he gets in a boxing ring, and then he does his talking for 36 minutes or less, doesn't he? He doesn't feel the need to do anything else. His personality has sold him enough. We know English isn't his first language, so why is he going to waste energy trying to express himself in what is in his mother tongue when he can already show him what he can do in the first fight?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely fascinating what we saw tonight. I really do. Now, we're going to get the weigh-in tomorrow. I'd imagine it's just going to pick up exactly where it left off from the face-off. As we near towards fighting, I made an interesting tweet earlier. I don't know if either of you saw it, but I genuinely feel this heading into the rematch. And there were some good comments that I'll let you know of how people addressed what I said. So I actually said that obviously the stakes arguably were higher in the first fight. And I'll say arguably, but it was the first undisputed heavyweight fight of the four-belt era. It was the first undisputed heavyweight fight in 25 years. Obviously Usyk became the undisputed champion. Now it's for 3 of the 4. Obviously Daniel Dubois holds the IBF right now. For me, this fight has a bigger feel to it than the undisputed fight. Now, I know we've watched them fight for 12 rounds. I know it has all the, Tyson Fury's lost now. How's Tyson Fury going to come back from a defeat? Usyk could cement himself as, one of the best to ever do it if he wins or if he stops Fury, whatever it may be. But a few of the comments, agreed with that. But they also said it's just from the hardcore boxing fans, obviously, like anyone who's listening, us three. Maybe it's not quite crossed over as much to the casual audience this time around, but it definitely, for me personally, I'm sure you boys will say the same, it feels bigger to me. This feels like there's more on the line.
It's an interesting one, mate. The crossover, like you've just said, to the mainstream. So what normally gets sucked
Christmas
in
as well. You have to remember the darts is on. Maybe it's not quite the casuals. Maybe aren't as on board with it as they.
Possibly, yeah. We're feeling that this year. There's not the casuals as invested as they are in May. Is there more on the line in terms of when you look at, say, Tyson Fury? Where does he go if he loses? In terms of his career, yes, because we always knew if Fury lost the first fight, well, there's a rematch there. If he loses again, there isn't really a realistic path to him back to world honours other than him, say, going through Daniel Dubois, which Frank Warren definitely won't do. He won't put Dubois in with Fury. That would be probably the last thing he'd want to do. So there's more implications on it, but I don't know if I have the same. We've lost Jay. I don't know if I have the same get up and feel as I did for the first fight, if that makes sense. I was absolutely tingling on tenterhooks all week back in May, probably carrying over from the fact it was cancelled in February, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. I think evening, Pat. Thanks for being with us, my man. I just think that I haven't been genuinely nervous for a fight in a probably since the first, maybe Joshua Dubois potentially, but I wasn't that invested in Joshua Dubois, if I'm being honest. I think I'll have the little palpitations when the first bell hits this time. There's so much on the line on Saturday night. Tyson Fury will no longer be able to lay claim to any type of being the best heavyweight of this era, best this, best that. If he loses twice to Oleksandr Usyk, he can forget it. Because even if he beats him in a rubber match, Usyk's going to be... if it's close again, they'll definitely run a trilogy, even if Usyk gets it. But my gut feeling is that if it's close, Tyson Fury will get it on the cards on Saturday.
Mate. I think all the vibes coming out of Saudi this week, everything you're hearing, unfortunately points towards, if it's a close fight and goes to the cards, that Tyson's going to get
so much money in the trilogy. Turkey wants Fury to win.
I'm not saying boxing's scripted, but every so often you can kind of predict which way.
It'll be a draw. If it's close, they'll give it a draw.
I honestly would be gobsmacked. I'd say if the fight is similar to the first fight, Fury will get it.
I think they want the trilogy sort of be a draw. Just going back before I got cut off, I've got the opposite feel. Don't feel half as big for me.
Similar to what I just said, mate.
Yeah, I've not watched any of the build-up other than highlights, really. I just want to watch the fight itself. But obviously, like you said, it's Christmas, the darts are on, there's football on, and I believe there's a percentage of casuals that he beat him, so
Yes,
are not as invested in the second fight. Whereas we know that Tyson Fury wasn't necessarily at his best. But I don't believe Usyk was at his best either. I'm not buying into the narrative that Usyk beat not the best Tyson Fury. I don't believe either of them had the best. Say again, sorry.
Fury said that to Usyk in the face-off, didn't he? I don't know if
your best couldn't beat me at my worst.
Your best couldn't knock me out.
Yeah. No, the ropes and the referee stopped him from knocking you out, and the end of the round stopped him from knocking you out.
Yeah. I watched the first fight back again today, just at a loose end this afternoon. I thought, go and then let's watch it back again. And yeah, Usyk, you could probably argue Usyk, that's the most he's cleanly been hit, the most boxing.
Yeah, definitely. He was buzzed. 100%. He was buzzed in that 6th round, for sure.
More than that, mate, the amount of shots he was taking to the body, which I hadn't picked up on before. If you look back, Tyson invested quite heavily in body work. So they both probably weren't at their best. Fury's big. Fury AJ's bigger.
Yeah, that's where it's at, Pat, isn't it? That's what they all want. Everyone involved wants Fury AJ. I
mean, even Tyson said himself, if I lose, the AJ fight's there for me. But the reality is, Tyson.
They only want it for the money. They don't want it for. There's no legacy involved in Fury versus AJ now, is there?
Now that neither of them are champion. Honestly, I couldn't care less.
Yeah, it's a fight that makes both of them a boatload of cash and makes all the promoters a boatload of cash, but it doesn't do.
Does not for us.
Yeah, for us now, I'd rather see them in other fights, both of them.
I'd rather see Joshua fight with someone like Wilder than Fury.
Yeah, Joshua Wilder's a great fight at this stage. Josh should smash him, maybe, but I don't know.
Let's address an elephant in the room for Tyson Fury that I don't think's been spoken about enough. His last outstanding performance was, for me, Wilder 2. Since then, the third fight, he was very lucky not to get stopped in the 5th round. Against White, that was going to a 12-round snooze fest before he landed that uppercut with the push. Chisora was a glorified sparring session. Ngannou, arguably, he lost that on the scorecards.
There's a great case for saying that Tyson Fury's on the decline, and he's on the Dan Evans, thanks for tuning in, mate.
Yeah, I'm not making a case for saying he's on the decline. What I'm saying is it's 2020. February of 2020 was his last truly outstanding performance. If he doesn't deliver this time, yes, the AJ fight makes a boatload of money, but the reality is you'll be looking at 5 years since the last great Tyson Fury performance.
100%, mate. Definitely.
All right, well, I'll counter that then. Name me an outstanding Usyk performance over the last 5 years.
Just let me grab for a few comments, boys, while you ponder that one over, Liam. Pablo B said, in case I prefer Fury Dubois, that is actually a really good fight. AJ watched against Daniel. He didn't look his best. Pat said Fury will KO Usyk between 8 and 10. He will lean and wear Usyk out, basically. Interesting, Pat. I've picked Fury for a knockout as well. Dan said Turkey and Eddie Little Snakes. Didn't like that at all. Yeah, it all feels like they're all in on Fury, doesn't it? Yeah. Every single one of them. If Usyk gets robbed, we will riot. Sorry, Liam. Go on. That was a good question from Jay.
Usyk's best 2 performances up at heavyweight were both AJ fights in 2021 and 2022. Admittedly, he's not been taken out the first Fury fight. He wasn't at his best against Dubois. He got lucky with Luis Pabon giving him the full 5 minutes for that borderline low blow, but both AJ performances in 21 and 22 are his best, which are now still 3 and 4 years ago, but still more recent than Fury's last great performance.
Yeah, but what I'm getting at is that neither of them have dazzled us over the recent, the past couple of years, and the same could be said for Usyk, that he's lost a step possibly. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that could be. I don't think we're going to see vintage either of them possibly.
No, I agree, Jay. They're both nearly 40. Like, it was the slightest of slight margins, wasn't it, on May the 18th? And Oleksandr Usyk found a 5th gear when Tyson Fury couldn't find that gear, and that was what won him the fight. Round number 8 and round number 9, breaking his nose in round 8, and obviously the knockdown in round number 9. Usyk found that extra 10% when Fury, he couldn't stay with him, could he, during that period of the fight? And that was what it was.
And I think Fury had exerted a lot of energy, thinking he were leaps and bounds ahead. Didn't think he could get hurt because obviously he did what he did against Wilder. But I think he's got to have a different, or will have a different mindset this time.
Yeah, he'll be more wary, won't he? He'll be more mindful of what's coming. Usyk's power, what's coming back. He has to be.
He's got to be. If he comes in and we see him showboating in the first round again, when Usyk, misses with a jab, then he's not learned any lessons, and it shows where he's at. If that makes sense. A lot's in Tyson Fury that comes in from the start, runs to the center of the ring like he done in the second Wilder fight, establishes his jab early. That shows us he's on his best. Any sign of clowning around Usyk still live in the fight or isn't showing any signs of decline tells us that Tyson hasn't really learned any lessons from this.
Yeah, definitely. Dan said Usyk from the first AJ fight at Spurs is unbeatable. Yeah, he was 100%. Unbelievable that night. He was. Fury's on the decline, similar to what me and Liam have just not too sure.
His lunch resistance. I think he still enjoys a good lunch, Dan.
I think his lunch resistance. I think
he still enjoys his food.
He has corrected himself in there.
But the thing is with Fury, he was getting dropped. If you go back to 2013, 2014, Steve Cunningham, the cruiserweight, dropped him.
He's been dropped like 10
dropped him heavy as well. Dropped him heavy.
Yeah, so it's not a new thing to see. It's not a new thing to see Tyson on the floor.
His powers of recovery, you have to commend his powers of recovery. Like, he was out in round number 9. I know the ref probably did him a favour and he was saved by the bell, but to actually recuperate and stick with it.
Let's not forget, he was asleep against Wilder. He was unconscious. I mean, I know he got a 47.
Referee and by Jack Reese as well. Jack Reese could any ref could have made that.
The 47-second count helped as well, didn't it? But Jack Reese is an established ref, and he was giving him every opportunity and more to get up. But to just recover and go on and win the rest of that round after getting put to sleep, because he was asleep. You see him wake up. His powers are that shows how athletic he is. I know he doesn't look it. I'll give you an example. My youngest daughter is the most athletic of all 3 children. She's built like a barrel. So she looks unfit, but she's naturally fit. She's got cardio. She can box. Yeah. She does kickboxing. She plays rugby. Tyson Fury's very similar. He's got a dad bod, but he's really fit, and he's a professional athlete. I know that he gets some fit out of camp, but his powers of recovery prove how fit he must be in terms of cardio. Yeah.
And he performs under the lights as well. He loves
he loves it. He craves that. He craves that. Yeah,
he does. Definitely. And that's kind of the bravado that we saw tonight, isn't it, Jay? When he starts calling Usyk all this, he gets excited, doesn't he?
He does.
He can only keep himself in his box for so long.
Thursday is fight week now.
Yeah, exactly. You got to weigh in tomorrow, and then what you got to remember as well, it will be at the earliest 1 a.m. Saudi time when they fight on, fight. So the weigh-in's at 7 p.m. Saudi time. He's then got to go to potentially 1 a.m. of the Sunday morning before he fights. That's a long time for someone who we know is bipolar, who we know is a high-octane person to keep a lid on things. Tyson will be Tyson. I believe there'll be some sort of antics at the weigh-in tomorrow. But
definitely. After that today, if the Munguia ref was there, Danny would have been there. Fury would have lost that Wilder fight most definitely. That was a very, very fast count on Munguia.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
No Doss. There's the future of the British heavyweights will also show their credentials this weekend. Pablo B says, absolutely. I'm looking forward to Moses against Dempsey McKean. I think that will be a great fight, the co-main event. I think he'll go for an early stoppage and take him out and blow his gas tank again. Ooh, interesting. Okay. Boys, I think that's probably about it for this quick reaction to the presser. I think, Jay, you might be out of action tomorrow, but me and Liam may give a few final thoughts before the live watch-along on Saturday night for what's going to be one of the biggest nights, the only other bigger night than this potentially, Fury Usyk 1, but probably it's the biggest or second biggest night of the year. It's the last real. I know Puma Martinez is fighting in Japan on New Year's Eve, but it's the last big show of 2024. So loads to come. Reaction very early on Sunday morning as well, around about 8:30 a.m. We're going to go first. What was that, Jay? Cut out.
Anything, mate? Jay.
I'm
listening to you.
No, good, mate. No, Dan, Pablo, DJ Pat, thanks very much for tuning in as always, guys. Sorry, Liam, what were you going to say, mate?
No, I was just going to say, Going to say, yeah, probably by the time we get to fight night, we'll be calling it the biggest fight of the year again, which just shows we will get sucked into the fight night. We just hope
no
it's an
doubt about
undercard.
it. In 48 hours, we will be fizzing.
Look, we just need an undercard that delivers. We don't want an undercard with too many decisions on or too many one-sided fights. If the undercard delivers, everything else will follow through for us.
The fights that are, listen, Johnny Fisher, Moses Atoma, Ishmael Davis, none of them fights are going to the end. None of them. We'll have 3 or 4 decent stoppages.
Yeah.
No, not for me.
Yeah.
You're really looking
Fisher,
forward to it.
and Moses would be great to get some good finishes. Jay Vance, thanks for tuning in. Usyk coming for the KO. Robert Brown's with us as well. Thanks, Robert. Turkey isn't good for boxing. He wants Fury to win. The man literally said he wants Tyson Fury to win and he'd be the 4th judge. Smells corrupt. Yeah, to be fair, Turkey couldn't be any more in the Tyson Fury camp if he wanted to be. Again, at the I'm not saying it's unprofessional, shall we say? At the end of the day, the man does what the hell he wants. He's paying for it all, but he's not even the promoter, is he? So he is, but he isn't the promoter.
It's difficult, mate.
Yes,
you can also tar Alex Krasiev and Frank Warren and Spencer Brown with the same brush of how biased they are towards Usyk and Fury, respectively. It seems different coming from Turkey because we probably haven't seen him be this favourable towards one fighter in any event over the last 14 months. This is the first time he's really nailed everything to one man in a main event, isn't it?
Yeah, but at the end of the day, we all know why he's so invested. He wants Fury and AJ to happen in Riyadh. That's why because I watched an interview with Frank, and Frank said he was asked why is Turkey on Fury's side so much. Is it because he wants the trilogy? And Frank goes, yeah, it's because he wants a trilogy. And he said it with such a lack of conviction. It's definitely not because he wants a trilogy. It's because he wants Fury and AJ. We all know that. Him and Frank are best mates. Yeah, Turkey and Frank are incredibly close. Frank's the promoter on every Riyadh card, isn't he, Liam? Every Riyadh season, it's a Queensbury promotion.
It's a Gold Star and Queensbury. So Spencer Brown,
Stellar, and Queensbury.
If you notice, Matchroom's only in association with this one, so they're not one of the main ones involved.
Well, they've only 2 fighters, Ish, Johnny Fisher, and is that it?
Ish, Peter McGrail.
Peter McGrail,
which is actually more than Queensbury have, but anyway, that's a different story. Yeah. Eddie's got more fighters on the card than Queensbury, but it's just the way it works with Saudi. We know how it works, but look, it's be fascinating. We got the weigh-in tomorrow, and then come Saturday night, we'll be gripped and invested to see what's going to happen. Because again, you can't say with any conviction, just like in May, who 100% is going to win, because you can make a case for victory as convincingly for both boxers.
Yeah, 100%. So, look, Liam, we may potentially get a couple of the extra prediction shows tomorrow as well, aren't we? McGrail and Isaac Lowe that we didn't cover last night. Yep. Jay's Fight Talk, enjoy your work. Do make sure you make it back to Saturday in one piece. We need you for the watch-along on Saturday. Oh, yeah, we've definitely lost Jay. But thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow and definitely see you for the watch-along on Saturday and Reaction Sunday. Have a good